Morning, man. Appreciate, man, Skip, Shannon.
Good morning, fellas.
You guys having us on this week. Chris, Matt, it's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah, we're killing
it. It's been a pleasure,
All right, Russell Wilson has voiced his frustrations with the Seahawks several times this offseason and has been the subject of trade rumors since. According to Adam Schefter, the Cowboys are one of 4 teams that Russ would be willing to be dealt to in a potential trade. Wilson's agent says he hasn't demanded a trade yet, but he has a no-trade clause so he can dictate where he'd potentially be traded. Although Dak Prescott is coming off a serious ankle injury, his lone playoff win came against Wilson and the Seahawks. LeVar, should Dallas pursue Russ instead of settling on Dak?
I mean, it provides an intriguing storyline. The reason being is that if Dak is going for the amount of value for a contract that he's going for, and if they're heading towards a franchise tag, then do you embrace debate, like Lil Wayne said, and see if you can make something work where Dak and, say, something or something else goes to Seattle in exchange for Russell Wilson? It isn't beyond the realm of possibility. But if I am Dallas, I do want to keep and maintain Dak Prescott. And if I'm also Dallas, I do want to also leverage and use the fact that Russell Wilson has named publicly that he would have interest in coming to Dallas. This would be a heck of a landing place for Russell Wilson. B, now if I'm Dallas, I say, hey, if we're going to go to this price that you want us to go to this price tag, Chris, I'm going to go get Russell Wilson because I know he's proven he's got Super Bowl appearance, has played at a high level, Hall of Fame caliber guy, and probably can give me at least 6 to 7 more years of great football left, which gives me a win now mentality. I leverage this against Dak Prescott, even if it seems to be ugly, spiteful, mean, unethical, not fair. All is fair in war. And what's that? Business, that is. Yeah, that's business, Chris.
Look, we talked about this yesterday. I thought it was overblown, but now with this new information, it's not overblown. All right, Russell Wilson, his agent can say he hasn't asked for a trade or demanded a trade, but he has now. Mm-hmm. He's put, look, you guys in high school, did you ever date a girl who said she didn't want to break up, but she wants to date other people? Mm-hmm. That's what Russell Wilson is saying. I don't want to trade, but if you're going to trade me, here's the 4 teams I'll go to.
Right, yeah.
I mean, he is, yes. Now that you've put it out there, that you've got your eye on these 4 cute teams, now it's a problem in Seattle now. And from Dallas's perspective, guys, look, I've always been a Dak Prescott fan. I'm big on intangibles for quarterbacks. And I think Dak has the intangibles in spades. But that said, I would go after Russell Wilson now if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. Number one, he's cheaper. Okay? His cap number for the next 3 years, $19 million, $19 million, $22 million.
Great point.
Obviously, Dak Prescott, you're going to be paying somewhere between $37 and $40 million a year.
But he would want to renegotiate that, Chris. He would want to renegotiate that, though.
Well, but he's still got several years left. I mean, those are the cap hits. He got the huge contract.
But he can fight against that no trade.
But these are the cap hits for the Cowboys.
True.
Those would be the cap hits, so just on their cap. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
So as much as I've liked Dak, I've never been under the impression that he's a top 5 quarterback or may ever be a top 5 quarterback. I think he's a quarterback you can win Super Bowls with, but he's not a top 5 guy. Russell Wilson is a top 5 guy. And what we know about Dak for sure, I've called him a game manager who can make plays, a playmaking game manager. So he manages the game, but unlike most game managers, he will make the big play sometimes with his legs or even with his arm. And when he had his most success in the league, when he was winning all these games and leading the Cowboys to the playoffs 2 of his first 3 years, he was a manager. The last 2 years, they've tried to put it on him. and make him the guy. Zeke has declined a little bit, so now it's about Dak, and they haven't been able to win at the same clip. Even last year when he averaged 371 yards passing a game. Let's be honest. A lot of those yards came in the second half when the other teams had big leads. They were in a prevent, and Dallas was playing desperately to win the game. They scored 30 points in the second half against Atlanta. They scored 24 points in the fourth quarter against Cleveland. So they were down big, and that's where big chunks of those yards came from. So I'm not, as much as I like Dak, I'm not convinced he can carry my team if I don't have awesome pieces around him. With Russ, we've watched Russ, guys, for the last 6 years carry the Seattle Seahawks to relevance, to the playoffs 8 of his 9 seasons. I get it. The Super Bowl championships, or when they got there, won the first one, lost the second one, he was largely a manager. That defense was awesome. You had Marshawn Lynch. I get all that. However, since then, he's proven, even if I don't have the great pieces around me, we're going to win. We might not win a Super Bowl, but we are going to win. And Dallas actually has good pieces, especially on the offensive side. So you put Russell in there, now you're really talking about a team that can do something in the postseason. So, yes, if I'm the Cowboys, buy Dak. Let's send you to Seattle.
Don't buy Dak, but buy Dak. Don't buy Dak.
Buy, B-Y-E.
B-Y.
Okay.
B-Y-E.
Listen, guys, I'm a little surprised you're not more like, pound the table, go get Russell Wilson.
Go get him!
I mean, Jerry Jones, are you kidding me? This is a division for the taking if Russell Wilson is your quarterback. He instantly makes you the team to beat in the NFC East. I don't know that there's any decision at all here. I say, Jerry Jones, pick up the phone. I say, hey, Seattle, you want our #1 pick this year? You want our #2? You want our #1 in 2022? And this is where I really sweeten the deal, guys. I was breaking down the free agent options. Seattle has said everything in Pete Carroll's DNA. We want to run the football. We want to run the football and play defense. Yes, LeVar Arrington.
Zeke.
I say Zeke Elliott. We had a good run, but I'm going to put you in that package. Zeke Elliott, 2 #1s and a #2. I bring in Russ. And that's the thing. I don't want to make it sound like I'm anti-Dak. But if I am Seattle, am I really taking on a quarterback that I'm going to have to pay more for? He's going to command more than Russell Wilson. Because it feels like, guys, this Russell Wilson stuff, there were a lot of breadcrumbs leading up to it. And then it's like you open the door and it's like, oh, my gosh. He threw his entire offensive line under the bus. Now, LeVar, I know you've been a locker room guy, a leader. You can't throw an entire offense under the bus in the offseason and expect to show up at camp all hunky-dory. It kind of feels like it's over for Russ in Seattle. And I'm telling you, this slam dunk in Dallas, Russ, the offensive line healthier, you keep Amari, you keep Gallup, you got CeeDee Lamb. Folks, Russell Wilson will cover up a lot of those ugly warts that Dak Prescott could not. And Chris, again, not to pile on Dak, you've been saying how he's won so many games. I had the stats team here pull it up. Last 4 seasons, Dak Prescott, 6-20 against teams that finished with a winning record. For whatever reason, he did not show up great against the elite teams. Again, I'm not crushing Dak. I know the defense wasn't good, and we could talk about the special teams was inferior, and the coaching was blah, blah, blah. But Russell Wilson is a massive upgrade over Dak Prescott. And LeVar, you know this division well, this NFC East. Russ instantly makes them a 10-11 win team, and I think you're talking back to Chris Broussard, this being a Super Bowl contender with Russell Wilson.
You want to talk about selling hope? I mean, I don't know what the rules are going to be, what the provisions are for COVID and attendance. They started doing attendance this season. So they were like, forget this. We're gonna put some people in these stands. So I'm assuming it's going to be much more relaxed going into next season. Probably has to be more relaxed. And what better than to come out of a COVID year where we had to have so many restrictions on fans coming to our stadium and advertisers pulling ad dollars back and saying that this is more important and this is more important. And you say, no, this is important. We have Russell Wilson in the big D. Oh, my gosh. Let me tell you something. The amount of buy-in for Russell Wilson joining America's team, and I got to tell you, J-Mac, I like that, what you just said with Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know that Ezekiel Elliott will ever be the guy he's once was when he was getting that contract, getting to that large contract in Dallas. He might go somewhere else, and that sting and that burn, that eat might really come back. It might not just be a tattoo on his belly, thug life, eat, you know what I mean? It might not just be that. It really might be, it's time to eat. So you go somewhere like Seattle. So this might work out for Ezekiel Elliott if they're thinking right. This might work out for Dak Prescott if they're thinking about this right. You know why? Because that is the type of team that would be an amazing landing place for Dak Prescott and an Ezekiel Elliott. But Russell Wilson, with who you guys just said,